Hello and welcome to VendrCast. This is episode 3. We're back at it again. Got some amazing guests here with me today, but before we get to that, I just want to give you a little bit of background. My name is Devin. I am your host. I'm with All Digital Photo and Video, and we are at the amazing Lionsgate studio here. We're ran into a little bit of audio issues, which seems like is a common thing, common theme here, but we're working out some kinks. This is a concept and something that I'm super excited about. This is a place where vendors can come, give you their raw, real takes on stuff, share some of their challenges, their wins, and their losses in a nice, fun, safe space. So, before we get started here, I do want to thank our sponsors. We have one of them here at the table today. But before we get to that, it's VenuHub and VendrHub. So anytime you need a resource for your venues or your vendors, it's a great place to go. Put in what your needs are, and you're going to get contacted by not just any random venues or vendors. These are like top of the top, the most elite vendors in the state of Colorado, curated by none other than our guest here. And then our other vendor that we have to shout out, or sponsor that we have to shout out, excuse me. We have a couple, which one is Lionsgate Studios, which we're here. Yeah. It's amazing. Um, and also we have Lionsgate Events Center, which if you've never been there, it holds a really special place in my heart. This is actually where we first officed out of the Gatehouse about 8 years ago. But we're currently in the Chandelier Barn, which if you haven't seen it yourself, it is a must-see venue. It's the cutest little barn. It's just got chandeliers all over the ceilings. And we actually made a kind of a walkthrough video that we're going to show you now so that you can see yourself. All right, so that is the Chandelier Barn. Like I said, just an absolutely stunning venue. Aubrey and I did we had our 10-year anniversary last year, and the secret got out. I was going to do a vow renewal here. Of all the places that I've been in the entire state, this is what I chose to do our vow renewal, but she got wind of it. She didn't want to do it, so here we are. But I'm super happy to be back, and without further ado, I want to introduce a couple of our guests. And I'll let you guys introduce yourselves because I'll probably mess it up. But in our second chair, we have Carlo Stuart with Denali Alignment. Tell us who you are. What do you do?
So, Carlo Stuart with Denali Alignment. We are a business strategy fractional COO services company. Prior to that, 30 years in the events industry, ranging anywhere from food and beverage planning, decor, you name it, a little bit of everything.
Amazing. And in third chair, we have none other than the amazing Don Williams, someone who I'm a huge fan of. And tell us who you are. What do you do? What's your thing?
Dawn Williams. I'm the founder and Chief Experience Officer, I guess is my official title, for VenuHub and VendrHub here in Colorado and perhaps elsewhere coming up next year.
Right on. That is amazing. Before we get started, I did make a promise to my two kiddos, so I have to shout out Emerson and Lucy, best kids of all time. They are watching, but now it's time for you guys to shut it off because this is not made for kids. So love you guys. You're famous now. And yeah, we can go ahead and get started. So we have a lot to unpack. I've known Don, I've known you for years. Carlo, I've kind of known you from your stand at My High.
hmm
I have a lot to learn about you. So I'm really excited to sit down and like get to know you better.
Sure.
But there's so much to unpack because we haven't seen each other in
I
weeks.
know.
And usually it's like we see each
Monthly,
other
weekly,
monthly.
Yes.
bi-weekly, yeah.
Yeah, but you guys did kind of co-planned Elevate. Seemed like Carly, you were a pretty big part of that.
She
Um,
was.
I had a ticket, and then we had a last second booking in Chicago, which I went to, which I was so bummed to miss out on. But give me all the deets. I mean, how was it? What was it like planning it? I mean,
It was great. It was, we were just saying that we miss seeing each other and talking to each other. We had an incredible planning team, bigger than just Carlo and I. Sarah Weiss and Emily Ellerman and
Cindy Shoemaker.
Cindy Shoemaker did. She won the MVP award for doing all the things.
Samantha Serene.
Samantha Serene, and then we had a student from MSU, Denver, Abigail Halma, who just graduated. So, and then April Ann Chase, she was kind of on the venue side of things on the planning committee. So we've been planning it for about 10 months. It'll be 3 weeks ago tomorrow, which is crazy.
It's wild.
It's wild. We had almost 200 people, which was
Amazing.
great. I have your bag in the car. Boy.
Cool.
Um,
Awesome.
It'll
and
change your life.
it will change your life, I have to say. And if anyone watching didn't get their bag, they need to reach out to me. But yeah, we really had a focus of wellness. I don't know if we'll dive into that at all today, but it was really important to me. Event life is crazy.
It is.
It just is. On any way you look at it, it is. And we don't always make the time to take care of ourselves, mind, body, soul. That was really important to me that there was a theme of wellness through every single thing that we did when we created Elevate, when we named it, all
Mhm.
like planning, we had 16 sessions, and each one of those speakers, thought leaders is what they really were. They all thought about like what are things that people can do different to feel better, to work smarter, um, not harder, but
Right.
then also to really always bring it back to schedule time to take a break, like with just any little tiny thing you can think of to get through our crazy jobs and be kinder to yourself. And I feel like we accomplished that.
Very much so.
What do you want to add? He was the MC, a sponsor, and the producer. Yeah.
A little bit of everything,
Yeah.
kind of jack of all trades,
And a
but
speaker.
and a speaker.
And a thought
That's
leader.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit of everything.
I know.
Um, you summed it all. You summed it all. It was phenomenal from my particular seat or seats to be able to connect with everybody because of the fact that since I've started my business, it's still very much involved into the events industry. The wonderful opportunity though that I've had is to be able to branch outside of it. So it almost felt as though I was like coming back home,
Yeah.
and it was the most perfect event to be immersed in. It wasn't a full-time job. There weren't any constraints. It was just how do we come together as a team and be able to plan and execute something so special?
Yeah.
It's magnificent.
Yeah, and it went really fast. It was fast like a wedding. Like the morning was full of headshots and then the sessions and then lunch and then keynote and panel and four different networking things throughout the day. But the morning we started at 8 and I swear it was like somebody goes, "Well, let's get ready to go to lunch." And I was like, It's 12:15." And it went just like that. It was just, you know,
For all of the event professionals out there
it
that
was
plan an
weird.
event, it was all of that 16 sessions, a keynote, two networking events, a closing reception as well. And we were one of the last people out, and it was 5:40 in the evening.
Yeah, the
Wow.
That
whole
is
thing was
how
broken down by 5:42.
totally.
Like a pit crew.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
is this both of your first times planning something to that scale?
No, this was just a tiny bit of history. When VenuHub launched, and I don't know how far back you want me to go, but VenuHub grew out of a grassroots lead sharing and networking group. And that grew out of the private dining lead sharing and networking group in Denver from 1999 or 2000. We can't quite figure out, but it was around then. Um, and then in 2009, when I went to work for a large venue, there was no group to help, no one to lean into. And so I gathered some people and we had lunch and we toured a venue, and there were 9 of us. And then by 2017, there were 175 of us, and it was still free.
Yeah.
And I was the human computer. So VenuHub launched as software January of 2019. and Troy from the Denver Museum of Nature and Science wanted to do some type of it was called a symposium, and it was really talking about permitting and licensing, and marijuana was kind of coming on the scene, and civil unions turning into marriages. So it was really an informative day for venue people, and it was mostly Venue Hub members. Then we did another one in 2023. It blizzarded. We had to kick it forward and push it to the next day. Lost a lot of people that couldn't come to the second day, and that was really hard. And then this one, it was the first time doing something that had a mission, vision, and values to the day, where we really, really said, "What do you like? What do we want this to be?"
Yeah.
And and then we named it something different. Like some people called it an unconference. Um, some people called it a summit. So it was a day of, I call it carving out space for our event community,
Yeah.
and I really feel strongly that the answers to a lot of our questions and problems and things, they lie within the room of people that we surround ourselves with already. So the only person that we had to pay and who came in was our keynote speaker who came in from Wisconsin, and he talked about emotions, emotional well-being, how to manage emotions, specifically anger in the busy world of events, frustration and anger, and where
Yeah.
does that go? And um, yeah, so but I've planned a lot of events, but that was the first of this
And I
with
love
the
that.
attention.
As someone who I probably go to more, networking events and conferences than maybe anyone, I've always seen Venue Hub as like this special little, like, it's just like this little special gem. The events
Thank
are always
you.
packed. Everyone's always super excited to be there, and eager to be there,
Yeah.
myself included. And it's just a special place, and that's really what I wanted from this podcast is a place for people to sit down, and hopefully anybody listening, if they're solopreneurs or whatever, it can be really lonely, and there's a lot of like thoughts that are in your head that you're like, nobody understands how I feel. It can be very lonely. There's really nobody to kind of commiserate with. So I'm hoping that someone listening, even if it's just one
Yeah.
person, feels like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only person feeling these types of things.
Right.
Um, and it is hard. It's chaotic. I mean, even just like this little podcast, right? Like we're running around trying to get things together, and this is like probably the simplest event that a person can do. So
Right.
I totally get it. Is this something that you're planning on doing every year, or what do you think?
I I would say I'm leaning towards yes. And I'll be really honest, like because what we're talking about today, it's very difficult to do like doing the event and coming up with the great ideas and content and the venues to host it in and all of the partners. We had
D6.
56 partners that from thought leaders to vendors that made this happen. So without them, we couldn't have done it. Tickets would have been astronomical. And what I'm really struggling with these days, like the feedback coming in from the post-event surveys it's really strong. It's really great. People are there. A lot of things are, there's a few statements that I'm really proud of, but I don't want to say them here because they compare it to other industry events. This was meant to be really laser focused.
Yeah.
About just straight to the community, if you're in human centric, I think is what I called it. So there were people from construction companies. Richard Sandoval sent in his whole national sales team. So it was bigger than, locals only. Anyone that works with people, we go through the same emotions. But to my point about doing it again, there aren't big money sponsors
Right.
that want to get, if there are any,
Hey,
hey, we want to hear
link
from
in the
you.
description.
I know.
Right. Please comment.
Yes. I haven't found the right financial sponsors that want to get in front of the event community.
Yeah.
And it's a really weird thing when you sit and think about it. Like I've planned a lot of, galas and fundraisers and nonprofit events. I've been a keynote, I've chaired, I've done a lot of, I've worked for a nonprofit. There's always people that no matter how sad, the ask is, there are always people that give money
Yeah.
that enable the event to grow legs. And in the events world, I mean, unless you're like a big giant, like a Cater Source or an MIC or something, that then you get the big dollars. But we had two cash sponsors, Metro State University of Denver and multipass ticketing platform. So we I would do it again, like I would do it twice a year if I had the funding to
Yeah.
do it. And that is my only hesitation, to not just do this all the time, because
Yeah.
seeing people come together and their happy little faces, it was everything I hoped it would be.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's hard to give that much of yourself when it's just a labor of love, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Don, you do so much for the event community. It's like that's why I'm always like I always feel like I owe you a debt of gratitude.
Oh,
And I feel like a lot of people do, and I'm not just saying that to kiss your ass. I really do feel that way. And there's not a lot of people that are willing to do that, without, you know, I know there's a lot of thankless tasks that you do
yeah.
that don't that don't reap you any sort of reward. And I'm I'm always in your corner. I'm always rooting for you,
I
but
know.
it's got to be hard to like sit down and be like, well, do I want to do this again? I'm sure it was, gave you a lot of great vibes and a lot of great momentum.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, it's like, well, there's been a lot of things that I've had to, cut ties with because they just didn't pay the bills. And you're sitting there
totally.
making sacrifices
Yeah,
for yourself, and how long do you do that?
right.
So, yeah, I completely agree. If there are any sponsors out there
Yes.
that want to get in front of the events
I
committee,
could get him to even if it's not my events, I can put them in front of people that, it's just a weird thing. And I continue to think about it. Like, is it like Gaiam, like the fitness and like the yoga people? Is it
hmm,
them because we did a meditation and we wanted to incorporate that kind of the wellness room? Um, there has to be some out there. But it would make it a lot easier to do the event if you weren't like, for me, for an example, 2 months before the event, we hadn't sold enough tickets to break even, and that's really stressful. So to your point of what do, you make really hard decisions. Like, it was like, do we keep going in hopes that people buy tickets? And the 249 was too big of a ticket price for some people, which I understand that. Like, if you don't have it, you don't have it, especially with Denver having so many solo entrepreneurs,
yeah,
around. That is a lot of money. The reality is, though, the value of it was, over probably close to $1,500. And that's not counting like the value if we added up what everyone contributed, like of the value of the day as a whole.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, like time and setup and strike and just all the things. So it's, that for me, it's like this is my community. I fell into it and it was a really safe place for me that I was thinking about this, like knowing what we were going to talk about today a little bit, that um I might seem like an extrovert and go, go, go. And the reality is I'm way more of an introvert. I'd be a farmer if I wasn't an event person. And events created a safe place for me that I could control my environment.
Hmm.
I could, as long as I knew every little, nook and cranny of planning an event, or the venue I worked for, or the caterer, the five-star chef, the whatever. I could control my stress load too with events. So it became my family because of that. Like, I don't, and I'm still trying to figure out how to articulate that. A lot of it has to do with like past trauma,
Yeah.
that you need to control something so that
Mhm.
you control the type of attention that you get. And as long
Mhm.
as you're producing something that's good, great, and you're a good person, it makes it real easy to kind of fly under the radar, that there's no one's pointing at anything really horrible. if that makes sense. So it's been my whole life in events. Like I started in hospitality when I was 14. Um, and I don't know if that was legal to be
It wasn't far behind.
yeah, but yeah, I started, in hospitality and I never left, never once. And I do think of events as hospitality. It's you're giving part of you to create a memory for somebody else that then just goes away.
What was the highlight for each of you from the event? What was like your favorite part of it?
What was yours?
Exactly what I mentioned about 30 days prior when things got tough. Do you remember what I mentioned to you?
You
And I
talked me
talked
off
about
of you talked me off of you.
I had mentioned that the greatest success was going to see everything unfold and be able to give you a hug in the middle of the venue and
Yeah,
say, "You did it.
yeah,
We did it." It comes back to community.
yeah,
That to me, the most successful part. On top of that, from an event perspective, we ended the day
yeah,
1 minute early.
yep,
Hell yeah.
16 workshops, 2 networking
yeah.
events, and we ended the day at 1 minute early prior to the
So
closing
what'd you do with
reception.
all your extra time?
Took it at that. You took a sigh of relief,
Right.
going, okay, we ended a minute early. I couldn't even believe it. I pulled up my phone and I went, yeah,
Yeah,
get it.
yeah. I don't know. My favorite moment, highlight. So you said a highlight moment. Highlight moment.
What's your core memory from it? What are you gonna take away?
Oh, oh, well, one. I have a few. One would be looking up into the auditorium seating at National Western Center and seeing my mom and my aunt. Oh. And seeing how proud they were, and that was really cool. And they come to all my, like big, like monumental things that I try weird things all the time, and
Yeah.
they're always there for me. So that was really cool looking up. I was the moderator of the legacy panel where we talked about sort of passing the torch. It wasn't meant to be like self-promotional, like look at all the things that all these older people have accomplished in events here in Denver. It was meant to be here are some ways that we have made it in this industry for 20, 30, 40 years, and it is viable as a profession to stay
Yeah.
with it. And what are some of the things that we would have done differently? Um, that was another topic.
Yep.
Weird memories, like to let people know that like it is crazy. It can be a really rewarding space to work with it. So sitting with Jennifer and Sydney Stoper and Genevieve Blue and Joyce, sitting and they're my friends, but they're my friends because of this business. We would have never known one another. So to be introduced by Carlo and then me to introduce all of them and sit and ask them questions, that was a huge, huge highlight for sure. And then also just driving up that morning, I wasn't stressed at all. I was ready, and I knew that the right people were doing the right roles as volunteers, to make this. Everybody really believed in what we wanted it to be. So driving up, I was like, unloaded
Yeah.
some stuff and off we went, and it was over just like that.
I think to add to that, like if I had to pick one specific area, it was the feeling as I was able to walk through
Mhm.
all the different segments, only because I would get on stage, I would make an introduction, somebody would be loading in, so I'm like, okay, let me switch my brain here. We're gonna get this vendor loaded in, and then as I was walking through, you could feel the passion, the intensity, and the intention
Mhm.
behind not only the person speaking, but then the audience in every area that were listening so
Yeah,
intently.
everyone felt glad to be there.
Yes.
There was a level of, like you talk about the like VenuHub meetups. Um, Danny from the Hip Photo once told me like what makes them different is that it's not transactional. That's
Mhm.
what he came back with, and that made my heart happy. That That's true. There are transactions that happen after, where if somebody remembers you because you were present and you get a great, gig from that. But during that time when we're doing a meetup, and I've been going to and doing those since 2000. Like I don't want to know how many that is. And it's a lot.
50, roughly.
One a month since that's a long time. So it makes me that's a great moment in general is every time we do a meetup, knowing that people are going because they want to be there and the vendors that are donating their time like you do and the post-production hours showing up for those and it's once a month and sometimes we're really busy, on that one day. But people come time and time and time again because they want to, that there's value to it. Maybe it's business value or it's a place that you can be yourself and you know that
Safe.
you're surrounded by people that you can say whatever you want um and you're in a safe space. Yeah. But you have support.
And they're not, I mean, it's a group of very influential people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I bought all digital 8 years ago, you know,
8 years.
it's been 8 years now.
Wow.
I bought it when I was 27.
Yeah.
And,
Now you're 50.
now hairlines are used to see.
And
My
my
hairline's up.
glasses on my head.
Yeah. Um, but like I was a master networker. I remember he told me like, yeah, he's like, you got to get out and network. You got to meet people. And at the time, I was still just learning the business, and I was
Hmm.
like very business minded. Um, and I met a lot of great people, but it takes years to develop those personal connections
Yeah.
to where, at the beginning, maybe you're kind of faking it a little bit, and you're like, I like this person, but do I like really care about this person?
Yeah.
And then over time, you're like, I really care about this
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
like a brother or sister, like family,
Yeah.
Yes.
and you want to see them succeed. You're rooting for them, and like business kind of becomes secondary at that point.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm sort of learning, like over the last like 2 to 3 years, I would say, is it's those personal connections that they pay dividends when you're not necessarily like looking for that, if that
Right.
makes sense.
It totally does.
Like it's the moment when you're like, you know what? I just like you. I just want to hang out. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
and then it's like all of a sudden it blossoms into something great. But it's not something that comes easy. At least not for me. Maybe
It
other
doesn't come
people it
easy
does,
to a
but
lot of people. I think that it's something that comes with our industry that I think you have to do it.
I think it comes also with time in life.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
my very much younger self, I literally had a mentor that said, I will buy you as many drinks as you like. You need to get as many business cards as possible, and they all need to be from different companies. Go.
Oh yeah.
And I went, oh. So I took networking as the challenge to meet people in quantity. But as the years have gone on,
Yeah.
and we're all life in here,
Yeah. Yeah.
then it comes down to the quality.
Right.
That's the part that you can't necessarily teach, nor have somebody
Yeah.
adapt to it instantly. It has to come in time.
The other thing that
100%.
I've been thinking about in regards to networking and gathering with your peers, sometimes you feel like you don't fit in or you're scared that it is a clique out there.
Mhm.
And
Totally.
you know what I mean? Like it can
Yes.
feel really intimidating.
It's
And
like high school all over
it's
again.
just like yeah,
Yeah.
or junior high
Yeah.
school, like seventh grade.
That's why my wife doesn't come to any networking events. She's like,
Right.
it's like high school. It's like,
Yeah.
what table are you gonna sit at? Like,
You
yeah,
see
you're right.
signs
You're not
now.
wrong.
Well, I pride myself on I normally don't talk a lot about like myself and what I'm proud of. I'm really proud that I take the time to know something about every single person.
Mhm.
I try to remember people's names, even though we have name tags. I try really hard to think of here's a human that came to this thing. And these aren't my events, they're the community's
Yeah.
events. I'm the steward. Somehow, some way, I got this gift to be the leader of VenuHub because it wasn't just me that made it. I was the one that created something right before a pandemic and stuck with it. But one thing I wanted to say to people is that in regards to not just networking, but businesses and preferred vendor list and how do you like you need more business. How do you do that? Ask yourself, do you have room for one more person at your table? Like if there's a DJ that's reaching out to you or introduces themselves, I'm just using DJ as an example, at an event, at a networking event or something that, oh, I'm Sarah and I'm a DJ and oh, are you new to town? Blah, blah, blah. To really think about like, so you have 5 DJs that you love and you work with and you're friends and brothers and sisters with them. There will be a time as you grow your business that your go-to DJ is going to be busy
Yeah.
because they're hustling and they're growing their business. Could you not have made room for one more at your table when Sarah, the DJ, came up and introduced herself? Because I bet she would really love this opportunity.
Yeah.
So for people that are new or hesitant, I believe there's a lot of people that think that way, that it's not, I already have my 5. I don't need one more, that people want to make room for another person.
Well, and one thing that I have tried to explain to newer people in the industry, because this was me when I first started, and thankfully I stuck with it thanks to Cal, but like I've had a lot of people approach me and they're like, well, I tried that group, it just didn't work out for me. I'm not getting any leads from it. It's like you have to understand there are certain groups that I have been a part of and went to monthly pretty much
Yeah.
for 5 years before I got a single lead.
Yep.
But that lead turns into 10, 20, 30K a year, right? And
Yeah.
then that makes it worth my time. Not saying that that's why I go to networking events,
Right.
but I'm saying like you have to stick with it. And you might plant a lot of seeds that don't bear any fruit for years and years and years, but you got to keep going back.
Hmm.
And if for nothing else, just like that sense of camaraderie, that sense of community that is so, so important
Yeah.
for people like us that like I try to explain to my wife, I'm like, listen, I'm around people all the time, but have you ever felt that feeling like you're in a room full of people, but you still kind of feel alone?
Yes.
Yes.
When I shoot corporate gigs, that's the way that I feel. It's like I'm the photographer, I'm in the middle of 1,200 people in this room, but at the end of the day, like I'm very isolated. I'm doing a very specific job.
Hmm.
I'm not there to enjoy the event. And it can be very isolating and very lonely. And that the networking is kind of like it's kind of like that. It's like you go in, you meet all these people, some like you, some don't. It's fine. You just got to keep planting those seeds and you see the same people over and over. And by the 20th time that you see them, it's like that same person, they're like, "Hey, I just started this new business venture and I want you to come along for the ride."
Hmm.
It's like, "Oh my gosh, I thought I wrote you off 2 years ago." Like,
Right.
Yeah.
glad you're back in the picture.
Yeah.
So, um,
The other thing about association, so I never thought VenuHub would be my job. Never, never, never. And with associations, nonprofit associations that are, donated time and service positions, those change over
yeah,
every year, every 2 years, every whatever years. And then with those new people, it brings a new following. And so if you think you're going to do MPI every other year, you're never going to develop
right.
those relationships that are going to like catapult you into growth, I think, in your position in this industry, that you have to be going all the time. Maybe not every single event, but stick with something. I mean, and VenuHub is weird in that I'm the one constant. Like
Right.
I'm,
Yeah,
I
I like
have,
that about it.
I've
I
been
think
the
that's why it's been
constant.
so successful.
Well, and that's I
I love
had
you.
to.
Oh, I really do.
Well, and I love most of the people.
Most of most of great time.
Lovely person to your left.
So, and another thing I've been working on growth wise, you saying like some people you like, some people you don't.
Mhm.
The older that I get, I'm realizing that we have so much more in common than we
Yeah.
have not in common. To find whatever the thing is with every single person that you have like you're in the same industry, there's one commonality, and if that's the one thing you've got, then that's great. You're on the same team. And I think that if I haven't mentored anybody for a while, but I used to. If I was mentoring people, I would talk about that like the whole like what you know now and
Yes.
youth is waste stuff your grandparents would say. There's no way you know it until you arrive there. Like it's fascinating. So to kind of roll with it and know that everyone probably has very similar goals and fears
Yeah.
and insecurities and why we're in this crazy business because most of us picked it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you went to school and were like, I'm going to do whatever. Like, I'm going to manage a venue. I'm going to buy a photo and video company. I'm going to start a consulting firm after, wearing every hat. That it has to do with the people. And I think we're a lot more similar than not.
And it's finding the right people.
Hmm.
In basic terms, everyone's trying to get somewhere.
Hmm.
How you get there, and more specifically, sometimes why you're getting there,
Yeah.
may differ very. But it was fascinating, kind of going back to Elevate as well. Like in my particular segment, there were 2/3 of the people I knew very well, 1/3 I knew ish,
Hmm.
and in the 2/3, former employer,
Hmm.
2 people that I hired, client of mine currently. It was a very full circle
Yeah.
moment. And I think it is indeed finding that right people and
Yeah.
sticking with it.
Yep.
Well, and it's funny that you say that because another group I won't mention the name, I've been a part of for a very long time.
Hmm.
And there's certain people you meet and you think, well, yeah, it's not really my people.
Hmm.
And then like 7 events later, you find yourself chatting with them and you're like, oh, you're from there? You like
Yeah.
doing this? Oh shit. And then now like we're like business partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody who, and maybe this is a fault of mine that I kind of wrote off as like, well, we would never get along.
Hmm.
That's not my type of person. And then it turns out it is my type of person.
Yeah.
So you kind of find out a lot about yourself by going to these events, which I just love. There's like Freddie's a great example. Shout out to Freddie if she's watching this. I
Oh,
doubt she
you
is,
met
but
Freddie.
Freddie's amazing, and who would have thought that? Like, I mean, I love Freddie like a mom.
Hmm.
Like I kind of see you the same way.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
okay.
sorry.
I knew
Please
you
don't
were
be
thinking
offended
that.
by that.
That's okay.
But like
It could
Freddie, I
be.
feel like if I had a flat tire, I could call Freddie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, if you took away the events world and stripped away what we do for work, me and Freddie meet at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to start a conversation with her,
Mm.
probably, because I'm like, I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
This person doesn't want to hear what I have to say. But we have so much in common, and it's been cool to see that sort of diversity of people
Hmm.
within the events community. But that is our commonality, right? Is that we love the chaos of events.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We love like having some semblance of control over that
Yeah.
chaos, and it's sort of like Pecos Bill, trying to ride a tornado or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you're all along for the ride and you're like trying to do the best you can.
Yeah. With the people that make it all happen. Like
Yeah.
we need one another, and especially for career growth, because there is kind of a glass ceiling that's not woman glass ceiling, a glass ceiling that you get to a certain level as a director. Your next options are to buy something.
Yeah.
And if you do want to go to another level, like a C level or a vice president, it means that you're going to be wearing two more hats and working. You're still going to be doing what you're doing. So you need, in order for growth, for me at least, it's always been with the help of people along the way.
Yeah.
Every single job, every job opportunity that maybe I knew first, to apply. Like those are the things that that's how I think our industry shines in that way, that we do genuinely want to help one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, like you kind of touched on a little bit, is there are people that you do have differences with. There are people
Hmm.
that maybe have wronged you in the past,
Yep.
and you sort of have to like let it slide a little bit.
Yeah.
You have to forgive and move on.
Hmm.
And again, sort of like find that common ground with this person and say, yes, it's like you said, it's kind of a brother and
Yeah.
sister, right?
Yep.
My brothers have kicked my ass more than anyone. I've gotten beaten unconscious by my brothers, but I love my brothers. I'd do anything for them. And that's kind of the way I see like the events industry is like this big family that it's a little dysfunctional,
Yeah.
right?
Very.
Yeah.
Very, right?
Yes.
And again, you just kind of have to look past that stuff because that person that wronged you or you thought, you'd never have to see again might be, giving you a call
Yeah.
because they need something, for tomorrow.
Right.
So,
Or our client maybe.
Yeah.
Like there is a particular person that this person knows that I love them as a person,
mhm,
as a professional, not my favorite person on the face of this earth.
mhm,
And not because of ethics, we're just not aligned
Mhm.
at all.
right.
But through a different client, their client needed something that this particular person excels at.
Mm,
Absolutely excels at. Now, is this person my favorite person? No.
right.
But I know that this person is exactly what the end all client needs.
Right.
Mhm.
And kind of going back at the end of the day, we're all trying to get somewhere. I may not be this person's best friend at all,
Yeah.
and she's not mine. But at the end of the day, as professionals,
Mhm.
exceptional talent deserves, regardless of
Yeah.
feeling, to get
Mhm.
that
That's part of being a
opportunity.
professional,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely agree.
And I always assume my grandma or great grandma told me this is to assume positive intent. And it's really sometimes I have to remind myself, and again, like getting older, like it's just like it's just really weird that I feel a lot more calm about a lot of things. And I can't tell you a moment, like a light switch moment. It's happening though.
Mhm.
And the other thing that, what was the last thing you just said? Because it made me think of something. The people,
Oh,
the growth.
everyone's trying to get somewhere, referral, exceptional
Oh, I
talent.
know. Question for you guys. So with your partners outside of event life, your partner at home, spouse, right? Um, for me, my husband has over the years said, you guys all are like a bunch of something like that we all know so much about one another and that we
Yeah.
spend all this time together and
Yeah.
that we don't work for the same employer and we know so much about each other and we're with each other a lot. And part of that is the whole, an average event takes 12 vendors or whatever that is now to make it happen. You have to work in tandem. Therefore, you're getting to know people
Mm.
for just like a 4 hour, time when it all comes together. But it is a really weird space industry because we do know so much about each other.
And the other thing is like if and I kind of like this and hate this about the industry, but like if you wrong someone, let's say, everyone's going to know about it, right?
Hmm.
And you can't escape that person, right? Like, so if somebody screws me over, I'll see you next month.
Yeah.
I'll be there,
Yeah.
right? And a great like microcosm of this was, and I'm so sorry if someone's watching this and they're like, "Oh, this is so cringy." The TH house party that we went to,
Hmm.
I thought that was so cool that Matt was there, that Jason was
Yeah.
there. Like they all used to work together, and obviously professionally, right? They parted ways. They were like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, I want this, but
Yeah.
I want this, and you want this." That's fine. But the fact that they're all like still friends,
Hmm.
it kind of like gave me hope, to be because like the same thing happens with my company where, I've seen so many people come in with just no clue on how to do anything. They grow up, they develop, they move on, they crush it. I mean, I can name a dozen photographers that have formerly worked for All Digital that are crushing it.
Yeah.
Some of the top photographers in the state. And I still support them fully. And it doesn't matter if they left All Digital in good standing or bad standing or whatever. None of that matters to me. Because at the end of the day, what I found with relationships is someone can burn you at the end, right? Like at the very end, they burn you. But if you
Mhm.
look at it in a scale.
Hmm.
You say, this is the amount of good stuff that they did for me.
Right.
This is the amount of bad stuff. Even though that last thing that they really did, like really burned you, this still outweighs that
Yeah.
100%. So I've started to look at all of my relationships professionally and personally in that light of like, okay, yes, they did screw you over, and that really hurts. But remember this, and this. So it always kind of weighs itself out. So I try to always support really everybody. And I found myself about 2 years ago, um, just really bitter with all the people who had kind of screwed me over, and I actually made a list. I
Oh.
made a list, and I was like,
Hit
okay,
list.
screw all these people. And I ended up, when I went to Colombia in February, I did a lot of like soul searching, and I went in and I deleted that list.
Oh.
I was like, this is hurting me. It
Mm-mm.
isn't hurting these people. I'm not going to do anything to hurt these people, right? Like,
Right.
I don't harbor any ill will towards them. The only thing that this list is hurting is me, and I need to let it go, and I need to just forgive those people,
Yeah.
right? Just move on
Move on.
because they did something that I probably would have done as well, and being in their situation, and they did something to me that I have done to other people, right? So you start thinking about it in that sense, and you're like, wow, like what am I really holding on to here? But yeah,
Plus, I mean, not to go too far right field, but it's occupying space within you.
Yes.
true.
Yeah.
And kind of going back to the person that's not my favorite person, I had to let that go
Yeah.
because it was occupying space in
Space.
me.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't let other areas
Yeah.
in me shine because I was still holding on
Hmm.
to
Right.
how I was wrong.
Yep. I
And they probably
understand.
moved on and completely
Oh,
forgotten. Like,
There was never a thought. Yeah.
you think I'm on someone's list?
Right.
Maybe. Like,
I don't
might
think
be.
so. I don't
I'm on a
know.
few people's list. But yeah, it's you just can't let stuff like that get to you, especially
No.
as a business owner. It's but the problem with me is that whoever I bring into my team, I just naturally have a personal relationship with
Sure.
because you're around them all the time.
Yeah.
And I can genuinely say that I truly care about everyone on my team. Like I truly care about their well-being. I want them to be successful. I want them to be happy with what they're doing in their role.
Hmm.
And so you naturally just start to get personally attached. And then when they burn you, it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
It's hard to let that go.
It
Yep.
does hurt. Again, to me, it comes down to capacity and also the investment of time. And I don't want to go so
Yeah.
far like midlife crisis ish because I don't think I'm having a crisis. I mean, I'm not buying it.
That's what someone who would having a
Awakening.
midlife crisis.
Thank
looks like.
you.
Awakening.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I am very that much more aware of the investment of time.
Mhm.
And part of that
Yeah.
I use in
Energy.
business as well. And I think that all of us as professionals should,
Yeah.
as owners, as event professionals, like how we're investing our time, not necessarily from the task that you complete,
Yeah.
but you've got to carve out time to fill your bucket
Yep.
Yeah.
with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
may,
something positive. And
yes.
the like since for the people that are local watching, most people know I've had a weird couple of years with a huge amount of loss. And somebody at this retreat I just went to post elevate, for some yoga and some Devil's Thumb Ranch, and it was awesome. And I was talking about like the fact that I had lost all these people and that I'm on this sober journey and all the things. And there were workshop sessions too for like C-level business women. So it was a weird balance of things. And I'm talking to all these strangers. And this woman just looked at me and she goes, "Oh, well, you changed." And I was like, I did change. And she's like, "No, you changed when you had all the loss." And I was like, "I did." She's like, "And then you've changed again." And I was like, "Oh, I feel so seen." But the reason that I mentioned that is like now looking back, if there's anything like bad that happens or there's like a reaction like at home like, oh, I don't know, the garage door's stuck or something, I'm just making that up, please, garage door, don't get stuck. But like if my husband's having like a moment about something that's really not, it might feel bad to him, but this new talk about enlightened is from birth to death, everything in between, if
Yeah.
we're here, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Because the bad is when you're not here anymore. And I have
Yeah.
finally gone through like the grief, 28 grief cycles in 2 years that I can honestly like step back and go, like if like things that went wonky with Elevate, like
Mhm.
you take a moment and go, like big picture. Big picture is you're not here anymore.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that is it's my new way of looking at everything. And I'm not sad about it or anything. It's quite refreshing. And I feel like I got this gift of time and compassion and like energy back without sounds so woo woo or something, but it's true. Like I don't get hopped up and mad about a lot anymore.
Yeah.
And it has made space for I did a huge event. I
Mhm.
started VendrHub this year, like all these things. It's
Right.
amazing when you put things where they really need to go. Look at yourself a little bit. I did that too. Like, why am
Yeah.
I hopped up about something? And then look at the big giant picture. Odds are it doesn't really matter.
You have to give yourself credit once in a while.
Yeah,
And you've
And
done
yeah,
some things.
grace.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
grace.
Yeah.
Like regardless of
yeah,
what's taking place in life, positive or otherwise,
yeah,
you've got to allow yourself the grace.
totally.
I forgot 4 things today where I had to go back to my house on each trip,
Oh God.
starting off with like earbuds at 5:30 this morning, and I can feel like the pent upness. So I'm not quite where you're at yet, but it's that instant recognition of going, what the hell am I getting so angst about?
Right.
Like, this is ridiculous. And this happened 4 times today.
That's
Like,
a lot.
I literally forgot. I almost forgot my wallet
The
key here
universe is
today.
trying to tell you something.
Right. I'm like, okay, perhaps I need to slow
Right.
down and focus. And I
Yeah.
started laughing at myself, going,
Good.
okay, apparently I just need to reset. And apparently I'm not meant to be efficient today.
Not today.
So, for all of my
Sometimes
clients,
you just
sorry.
gotta crank up the
Thanks.
music and just dance a little
Yeah.
bit. Just
Totally.
let
Yeah.
it roll. Because
Yes.
this is one thing, and Aubrey and I, we try to take walks every morning with our coffee and just get like 30
Mm.
30 to 45 in, just talking to each other. And one thing we were talking about this morning is like, you know, we're always striving for that next thing. And I think that that's important for
Yes.
people to be
Mhm.
like, here's my goals. I need to accomplish this. Sometimes you fall short,
Yeah.
sometimes you exceed it, whatever. But there needs to be a balance of gratitude for where you're at,
Mhm.
but not necessarily like you're content and you're complacent,
Right.
but gratitude for how far you've come and where you're at right now in this very moment, while also striving, to progress and achieve that next thing.
Yeah.
Because there are people who have gratitude and they want progress. Those are the best types of people, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then there's people that don't have gratitude, but they want to constantly work. That was me for the first like 6
Yeah.
years of owning All Digital. I wasn't happy with where I was at.
Mhm.
I constantly wanted the next thing. And what ended up happening, I ended up buying a business. That was a mistake because I wanted more, more. I wanted
Yeah.
more for that validation.
Mhm.
And then there's people that don't have gratitude and they don't want to progress.
Right.
Those are probably the worst kind of people because they're not happy with where they're at and they don't want to change their situation.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know how to help you
Yeah.
Right.
because gratitude is the root of happiness. So you're not going to be happy.
Mhm.
And if you're not happy, you're not going to attract the right type of people that are going
Right.
to get you to your goals. So it's
You'll
kind of
get
like,
sick too.
Yes, and
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to let
Yeah.
go. Like all of us in this industry, we're all planners to some degree.
Yeah.
We make an event happen through beginning, middle, and end,
Yeah.
timeline wise. And sometimes life doesn't provide that for you. So if my husband's watching, he's going to be like, oh, seriously, with this quote again. And it was something that was given to me literally 4 months ago. And I literally say it probably almost chant-ish 3 times a day. I let go with gratitude
Oh,
to make
yes.
space for what's next.
Yeah.
And
He said that to me a lot through this process. Dawn, or another good one, and this is good advice in general. If you're freaking out about something and you call your
person,
person and they flip the narrative on you and they go, what would you say to me if the tables were turned? Like
I
it
did
was,
do that
oh
once.
my God. And all I wanted to do was like vent. And then I was like, oh, I would say suck it up and do the thing.
Keep on.
And I did. Yeah. And going back to the getting to the place of gratitude and goals,
yeah,
like business planning, like we were just talking about
Mhm.
this, especially if you work for yourself. And sometimes it's with yourself, like a lot of people are a team of one or two. But you still should be making time to talk about with someone, that to plan your next year, talk about your 5-year plan, to talk about your 10-year plan. And one of the sessions at this retreat was about succession planning and the valuation of your business. And do you know what it's worth? Because you should, not just if something happened to you, but like the percentage was something so huge that like people that sell their business because someone just comes and makes them an offer and they don't know the value of the business and they go, "That's a great deal," and they sell it. Was that the best deal? Like, you'll probably never know unless it turns into something where you're like, "Oh, now I know." So to take like if you're doing this and I'm practicing what I preach, I'm going to do that now and like have the whole thing looked at and make a plan for I don't want to be doing this forever, but do I want to keep doing it like getting to that place of gratitude. Right now I'm at a place of gratitude. I got somewhere and I'm enjoying where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes like more isn't always the best. Like for me it's not. I don't want to keep going. Like I want to
Right.
stop and enjoy the ride a little bit. Like coming here today, I don't have anything huge happening, work event wise, and it was simply nice to be calm and be coming here.
Yeah.
Like I could have something going right
Yep.
now, but I pulled back the reins after knowing after Elevate I wanted to, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent,
Yeah.
I wanted to sit with it for a while and just kind of marinate
Yeah.
on what's
And it's
next.
cool that you've kind of been able to unpackage all that and be
Yeah,
able to come and talk in a forum like this
a
and
lot of
break
therapy.
it down. Yeah.
Telling you, if anyone
Yeah.
needs any recommendations. No, it's true. Like I'm in a whole different headspace. So, and it's stuff that we tried to kind of pepper through Elevate as well,
Yeah.
like through all of the
I think
topics.
it's is as event professionals, I think it's the first thing to go is your self-care,
Yeah.
well-being because events it's like, well, it's happening. It's happening right now,
Hmm.
and there is no let me take 15. Like there is none
No.
of that now.
Yeah.
And that's what makes live events, people talk about the wedding tax and things like that. It's like that's why live event professionals charge a premium because when that day comes, you might not be feeling 100%.
Yeah.
You might be dealing with personal stuff, but it doesn't matter. You have to show up and you
Yeah.
have to do the job.
The show
There's
goes
no,
on.
let's postpone this. It
Yeah.
has to go
Yeah.
on.
Yep.
And so to me, like that's always the first thing to go is like, well, I'm just going to neglect myself
Hmm.
because you're kind of self-sacrificing because you have to do all this stuff.
Right.
So what with this retreat, what other than yoga, what I mean, can you share what are
Yeah.
some good things that you took away?
Um, each of the sessions was, like I said, it was all led by women and it was all women in very high, either entrepreneurs of their own. There was a couple of startups of women in construction, a lot of architecture. Um, I normally, like if 3 years ago, me, and if I even was going to that kind of retreat, I would have felt so insecure and so like, what am I doing here? And I went into it with just like, I don't know, like I'm here and I'm here to learn. And it was fascinating to kind of go, wow, again, another one of those epiphany moments where we're so much more alike than not
Yeah.
alike.
Yeah.
And so the business side of things, the valuation of your business and making a plan for like what's your exit strategy if it's not going to someone in your family, what is your exit strategy? Like you shouldn't want to just close your doors if you can do something
Yeah,
else with it. Like
yeah.
I never thought about it. And she's like, "Well, when do you want to retire?" And I was like, "Oh my God, in events do we like
No,
I
Just
neither
die.
way.
I
Just die.
retire? I thought I just died." And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I guess 65 if I make it to 65." And she's like, "And when is that?" And I was like, 9 years. And she was like, it takes time
Yeah.
to get all those ducks in a row. And I was like, okay, like I can do that. Um, Another thing was like this, it was a lot of talk about cycles of like, where are you and where do you want to be? And then what's it going to take to get you there? Imposter syndrome, like believing in yourself, that was a hot topic. Um, Taking time for yourself
Yeah.
to plan for yourself. Like, and so I've blocked out. I have two things blocked out every day on my calendar. One is this workout guy that's in Africa named Bobby, and I have it blocked out every morning from 9 to 9:30. I have workout with Bobby. I have yet to do it, but it's blocked out. And then the other one is 10 minutes in the afternoon. It says just be. And so that's my time. I've started drawing again.
Mm.
And I don't know, like but I know that it's like I work for myself. Yes, I work less hard in one way, but I also make less money than working for someone else. Where I came from.
Mm.
So there's a balance there to take all of that in. And I know that like me 7 years ago would be like, shut up, Dawn. Like, when am I going to take 10 minutes for just me? Like you're annoying by doing that. And I would like, and I would have been like, I would have felt that way. But by doing that, it keeps me sane for all the other parts. And I wish I had done that when I would have said, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I could have done that, and I probably would have ended up in a better way, 5 years down the road of stress, 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 stress all the
Yeah.
time.
It's an intentional act
Yeah.
that will not happen unless you
You are the
make
one.
it. Yeah.
Yep, totally.
What about you, Carlo? What do you do for like just well-being? How do you
Ooh,
stay sane? Because
yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but you're consulting, right?
yes.
Essentially for a lot of different businesses. And so I always say this about like financial advisors, like that's a lot of pressure. And it's not just like pressure for you to fail or succeed, but it's for someone else. So how do you deal with that?
Correct. Somebody asked me specifically what I did, and of course I had the same answer, and they're like, "What does that mean?" And I said, "I help run a series of different businesses." to-"
Mm,
And they're like, "I get that." So to make time for myself, it's similar. I've actually carved out time here and there to just simply sit or be.
yep.
I'm actually in the middle of a book right now
Oh.
that Robbie ended up giving to me titled You're a Badass.
Who's Robbie? Do I know him?
My friend from junior high school.
Oh, okay.
So he's a friend of mine, but a client of
Of mine.
his.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So he, one day out of the blue, just ended up saying, "You know what? I want to give you this book." And he gave me this book, and it's a beautiful book regarding spending time investing back into yourself and really getting clear on who you are, where you want to be,
Yeah.
and removing all of the layers to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of my personal time right now where I'll take 20, 30 minutes, and it's usually in the evening where I'll sit and I'll read. And I love to read, but I've never dedicated time to it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, if I feel like it, or oh, when I'm on
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah.
It's that. It's also being present as a father. My daughter just turned 5,
Congrats.
and thank you. And it's the little things, who, because and you don't have to have littles to have this. It's investing in being present, and
Mhm.
however you're present,
Yeah.
whether it's spouse, whether it's
Yeah.
child, whether it's animals, whether it's just yourself. I chose to dedicate just a fragment of time, whether it's 5 minutes of her and I just drawing a picture and then I go
Mhm.
back to work. I make that time to
Yeah.
where I can be present and go right back to it. And it's something that she's adapted to as well, where I'll come up from our offices downstairs and I'll come upstairs and she's like, "Is it playtime?"
Yeah.
And when I say yes, and I'm like, "But I have a call right afterwards." And she's like, "Okay." So I've almost gotten her conditioned to where she knows the amount of
Yeah.
time because then she goes to Alexa and calls out
Yeah.
the time for it. But yeah, it really is just being present. It really is being present and reinvesting back into myself. And right now it's 3 books.
Mhm.
Well, what I've discovered is like it's not difficult. It's impossible to think deeply and be introspective and things like that when your mind is cluttered. For me, like when you first wake up and you have all these like thoughts
Oh,
because
yeah.
the clutter hasn't entered yet, right?
Hmm.
And you have all these deep thoughts and then like 12 hours go by and you haven't really thought about, well, who am I and what am I doing? And like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like what is my purpose here? Because it's so cluttered and it's kind of like the 30,000 foot view and versus being in the weeds. You can't actively think about, and this goes for personal and business, right? They're kind of one and the same. You can't think about, well, where is my business heading? What is my 5-year goal when
Mm.
you're just busy all the
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
And so the first 5, 6, 7 years of running all digital, really good angle studios, that was me. I just threw myself at work, just threw what needs done, what's the next thing, let's go.
Yeah.
And you never stand back and just look at like the big picture of like, what are we actually doing here?
Hmm.
So you
Mhm.
have to carve out that time. For me, it's meditation, and
Yeah.
I start out every single day with just it's a YouTube video, 5 minute
Yeah.
meditation, puts me in the right headspace
Yeah.
to where I can enter work feeling at peace,
Hmm.
good center of balance, not angry, not 'cause that's for me. I I don't really get like anxious or depressed really. I just get like kind of pissed off.
Just mad.
I get some days where I'm just like, F the world, man. It's me against the world. And you start, but you start looking at every relationship you have through that lens
Yeah.
of what has this
Mm,
person done to hurt me?
yes.
Hmm.
And then you're not in a heart of gratitude.
Right.
So I have to reel myself back in from that. And it's been a decade of like really, really purposefully working on myself in that.
Hmm.
And I can kind of feel it bubbling up. And you just have to like step away from everything, go for a walk,
Yeah.
go fishing, whatever it is that you
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
And you just have to be like, I don't care that I have 12 things to do. We're gonna have to wait
Sometimes
till
the
tomorrow.
things have to wait. They have to
Yeah.
just be over there. I also feel like I meditate at night now, like before bed. That
Mm,
helps me to kind of come on down. And then for the first time in my whole life, I get up I used to sleep as much as I humanly possibly could until the last minute. And I never knew that like morning can be an enjoyable thing.
yeah.
I'm not being funny. Like I had no idea that it could be different. And so now I get up and I kind of am for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not rushing like I have 30 minutes to get ready and get to work. I'm I make the time to do very little. So
Yes.
whether it's
Yep.
like hanging out with my animals or sketching a little bit.
What animals do you have?
Oh my God. We have 2 dogs and 3 cats. Um, the 3 cats thing was an accident. We went to get another black cat and it had an orange brother and they were bonded. And so we had to get them both. So yeah, they all have human names.
Nice.
So yeah, Frank, Pete, Eddie. What are their names? Frank, Pete, Eddie, Gary. Oh, Jean Paul. He's the big fat
John
kid.
Paul.
Jean Paul
Nice.
Fattier.
Nice.
Making it goes back to making the time. Like I just wish that I guess you know stuff when it's your time to know stuff.
Yeah.
And the task and what you invest your time in doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. I think that was my
Yeah.
learning lesson where
Yeah.
it's like, just be
Yeah.
every morning I am up at least a half an hour if I'm not going to the gym because
Yeah.
that's a new pouring into myself.
Yeah.
And I literally have a cup of coffee and I'll sit.
Just sit. Yeah.
TV's not even on. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's
Yeah.
not. If it's good weather, I sit outside and just.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I never realized that that was what I needed in the investment back into myself.
Yeah.
So that way
Yeah.
I can be present.
And I feel like the hardest thing for me is the temptation to like doom scroll because
Oh
if
yeah.
you're because right, you're sitting because we do the same thing. We
Yeah.
wake up at 6. Kids don't get up till 6:30.
Yep.
Sit on the couch, have our cup of coffee,
Hmm.
talk, and honestly, we usually end up just scrolling.
Yeah.
But there there shouldn't be a constant need to be entertained by something. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
my kids will be like, Dad, I'm bored. I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? Like sometimes being bored is not the worst thing.
Yeah.
It allows you to like
Yeah.
look inward a little bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've just gotten so used as a society to, I need to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
I need to constantly have some sort of distraction that's keeping me away from thinking about the things that I should actually be thinking
Yeah.
about.
Yep.
And that takes us away from what you're talking about, what you guys are both talking
Yeah.
about, like taking that time for yourself. Because that's, and in some ways that is like just that mind-numbing scrolling. It feels so good. It's
And
like,
I think
no
that's
effort.
A-okay to
Yeah.
like I play these weird Zen games on my phone and I can fall down that rabbit hole
Yeah.
and that's okay because I'm completely chill. And that's like it's so interesting that we're all kind of talking about the same thing of like finding the time, however you want to look at it, to kind of come on down, take it on down a couple notches, whatever that is in event life.
Yeah.
And the other piece is I find like if I was selling a venue right now, I know that I would have a lot more patience with clients, customers, guests that I maybe wasn't aligned with. I would have a lot it wouldn't be a I wouldn't be having those conflicty sales moments because I absolutely know and I'm just a kinder, nicer version of like if someone's asking dumb questions, I could get super frustrated and go, like, "Oh, that's in the thing I sent you." Like, I don't know, it just you can come from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And like when things are going wonky, like just take a minute, Like that pause is everything. And if you're quiet and you're listening to people, then the answer normally comes a lot quicker. Like just
Yeah.
listen. Yeah.
I found the best things that I've learned is when I'm silent.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason why I started doing this podcast because that's been a really weak point of mine is
Yeah.
listening. Not a good
Oh,
listener.
we talked about that. Yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
good listener. My wife will tell you.
How's it going?
It's helping.
Yeah.
I feel like just to be honest with you, I've been a really selfish person, and like I think that's where like my lack of inquiry into what other people are doing, and that's where it comes from, is because it's like, well, if we're not working together or, we don't hang out, like what's the point? Why do I care? And that's a really like shallow place to be. And that's not the way that I am with my friends and family.
Right.
So I think just like opening myself up to new people, new opportunities, that's been really rewarding for me of just, and you're right. It's like sometimes you just got to shut up and listen.
Mm-hmm.
Just shut up and just maybe sometimes that's all people really need.
Yeah.
Just someone to listen to them and understand them and truly listen, not just hear, but listen.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast. Another is just like I have all the tools and things to do it. And it's funny because we've known each other for I think I went to my first venue hub at I think it was the establishment in like 2020 or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think we met each other before that, but
Yeah.
like we've never just
Oh,
sat
and
down
you
and like
came and did the video.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Carlo, we've never sat down together,
No.
It's like we see each other in passing and I enjoy you as a person. I enjoy both of you as a person,
Same.
but like
Same.
um, it's hard to be like intentional, like I'm gonna sit down and really get to know this person and see what makes them tick.
Mm-hmm.
And the doors that unlocks when you do that are just mind blowing.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex, who was just on here, last episode, it's like we've known each other for almost 10 years. I love Alex. She's great. She's
Mm-hmm.
amazing at what she does. Um, but like we've never sat down and just had a conversation one on one, right? Like that would feel kind of weird.
Right.
But like I feel like everyone needs it, and hopefully, the viewers feel like they're in on this conversation and
Yeah.
take something away from it too. Um, because that's another piece of it is I want it to show kind of the softer side, the real side, the raw side of some people that I like and enjoy. So, and then also just get to know you better in the meantime. So,
I'm so proud of you for like taking this on? Because I remember when we first talked about it,
that's
and I was like, "What are you doing?
a
And what?" Um, and like you said, one of your goals was to like get more comfortable listening and talking to people.
yeah.
So I admire you so much for just diving in and doing a thing.
Same. And
Yeah.
incredibly humbled, seriously, when you reached out
Yeah.
because you'd shot over an email saying, "Hey, you want to be a part of this?" I'm like, "Sure, no
Yeah, you're
problem."
like, let's do it.
And then I was thinking, why don't I just get into it? It's okay, we'll figure it out. But to your point, like we've never sat down and
Yeah.
have truly just connected.
Hmm.
We have networked well.
Yeah.
We have caught up in that small little fragment of time in between events. We've been a part of the same event before.
Right.
But
But it's like, oh, I wish I had the reel to show you guys, but a lot of the networking conversations you have, and I'm sure you guys would agree with this, they just feel really inauthentic. They're very surface level,
There's
kind of
only
keep
so
everything.
much time that you have
Yeah.
also. Like you can't, and like at a VenuHub meetup, I try to talk to every single person, or every single person is talking to me, and I try to make the time. And there's not enough minutes
Yeah.
to have a, meaningful conversation. So I always say these are simply tiny little um jump boards so that hopefully everyone goes out and they have these kind of, maybe
Yeah.
not a podcast conversation,
Yeah.
but that they do find the time to continue the conversation outside of the networking event. The networking event is such a small little piece of it, and then it's what comes after that. And
Yeah.
then what comes, and then the circles start to connect.
and actually, thank you. I was
Yeah.
about to say I almost want to change the word networking
Yeah.
to authentic connection because, and especially when you're meeting somebody new, it's always, "Hi, my name
What
is."
do you do?
Ah, I
Yeah.
I am not a fan of that question, and it keeps getting worse as I keep getting older
Hmm.
Sorry I
because
asked you that.
no.
Just kidding.
I know why you did, but
That's
it's
the introduction. That's not a conversation.
correct.
Like
No,
that.
I know, but
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Like, it's like, what do you do? It's like, I do so many other things, but
Right.
Yeah.
this is what I do.
Yeah.
So I almost want to encourage everybody, and
Yeah.
I've been trying to do this myself, especially when I meet somebody new,
Yeah.
to ask a specific question.
Right.
Could be benign, like, "Hey, what's the last place you traveled to?" Like,
Yeah.
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 to somebody brand new, and it'll catch them off guard to not have the standard, "Hi, my
The
name
yes
is,
or
what do
no.
you do?"
Yeah.
Blah, blah,
Totally.
blah.
Yeah.
But just to be able to connect in a more authentic way from the start.
Yeah. I didn't call the meetups on, like, there was no other reason.
Mm,
But now that I'm thinking about it, like networking, I've never called it networking. It's always been a meetup because that's what it is. We're meeting up to talk
Yeah.
about the commonality and then go forth and keep
And
conversations going.
I gotta say, when the first few venue hub meetups that we did, you passed the mic around
Oh
and
yeah.
does their gratitudes. I remember being like, no, 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 no,
I'm
and
just
you were
the
like, no, no,
videographer.
do it. And I hated it.
You
I,
did?
I hated you for that. Because I have a
fail.
deep fear. I have a deep fear of public speaking.
Okay.
I had to work through it in college, and literally when I would have to go present, I had the sweaty palms, I had
Oh, I had hives. I
heart
hate
racing, and
public speaking.
couldn't catch my breath, and just all kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
And you put me on the spot. But here's the other thing about me is I love a challenge and I love doing new things. That's why we're here right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's something that again Aubrey pointed out to me. She's awesome. But anyway, she's like, you're always like pushing yourself to do something new. There's never a point where I just sit in the same position. I can't.
Hmm.
I get antsy and I'm like, oh, I want to try something new. And 90% of it fails.
Yeah.
90% of it fails. It really does. And this podcast may fail. And I'm fine if it does. Like I'm legitimately fine if this podcast we do like 6, 7 episodes, it fizzles out,
I
it
don't
kind of
think
comes
that's
and goes.
failing though. It's
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 growth.
it's growth, and you're doing something um that was outside of your comfort zone, and you were creating space to be quiet and listen to people. So you are doing,
Mhm.
but you carved out a place where people, like, I don't ever get to simply sit and talk with industry friends like this. Never, never, never. So this,
Same.
I didn't know what to expect. I knew, I knew what it was, but it's really lovely to have this kind of FaceTime. Like we're not doing something, we're not
It is.
planning
You
something.
guys are incredibly comfortable on camera. It's great.
I forgot about him.
It's like, I forgot. Are we going?
Anybody that knows me knows that I would have been leaning forward and but no,
Everyone who's came on is like, I'm not watching this. And I'm the same way. I do watch them back just, just to kind of like game tape to see what I could have done better.
Yeah.
And, like the first episode, I talked too much.
Oh,
I talked way too much. That's one of my things that I watch, and I'm like, okay, I need to allow more space for other people to continue their, finish their points. And so, second episode, I probably didn't talk enough. Okay, we're
well,
learning.
you did get us
You know.
together. So I also was like, oh God, we're going to talk too much.
I was
He's
thinking
been like, he's like my work husband this past year. Yeah.
same. Like literally, I was driving here and I took the long way around only because one, traffic, but then secondly, I was just like, oh, it's a really cool time. I'm going to take the foothills. Here we go.
Yeah.
And I had time to think about this. And I'm like, we had gotten together for multiple meetings, multiple planning, multiple everything
Yeah.
leading up to Elevate. And that was 10 months
10
in the
months.
making.
Yeah.
Right.
So then we got used to going da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let me dial this back just a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
And it's like, I love having all the different personalities on. And just both your first time on a podcast?
I did a vlog with Chris Starkey and Imprint
Okay.
Group. I need to ask him where that is.
Yeah.
But I had to go buy a ring light and a
Yeah.
little free microphone, and I like had a whole I had to create a situation in my fake office.
yeah.
And that was, and he actually brought on Lauren Carpiel Harwell to be my interviewer, and I was her first boss ever,
Oh, wow.
ever. And so that was, I was like, Lauren, what are you doing here? Like, on screen. And Chris is like, surprise. So that one was hard. That was harder than this. This feels simply like talking with friends.
Yeah,
Totally.
That was the
Yeah,
point. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. And, I've never hosted a podcast, clearly, still learning on
Your
the go.
questions, so your segues were really smooth.
Well, hopefully people can appreciate it for what it is. And I don't want it to be like this big show. I really wanted it to be just a conversation where people can kind of tap in. They're like, "Oh, I know Carla. I want to learn a little bit more about him. I'm gonna tune into this." And hopefully they take away more than just, "Oh, I found out a little bit more about Carlo." It's like I
Right.
found a little bit about myself. I found out some tips and tricks, and I feel like the feedback that I've gotten on the podcast has been really good as far as people viewing it.
Mhm.
It's just I haven't done anything to market it intentionally.
Yeah.
When I really want to push something, I'm like, okay, let's go for it. And I know you guys are like the same way. You're like, you're saying I didn't tell my mom about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want my mom watching this. You're like, um, when I do feel like it's ready to take that next step, and we're like,
Yeah.
okay, we got things tightened up over here. We have our branding and stuff.
Mhm.
It will be a little bit different, but right now it's kind of in this concept phase. I want to
Yeah.
see if people enjoy it. I want to see if guests enjoy it. And super grateful that you stepped in and you're like,
Thank
yeah, I'll support you. And Alex and Lionsgate Studio. I mean, they were just like, it wasn't even really a question. Like I
Right.
didn't have to talk them in. Like I didn't have to twist your arm or
Yeah.
anything. It was just like, um, I feel like I'm in a position where I don't really ask for favors a lot, and so when I do ask for favors, people are like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Same.
gotcha,"
See, this
so
is our call to action too.
yeah,
If there's any cash sponsors out there, we know the places to distribute the cash.
that's exactly right.
VendrCast.
Yes. Well, my goal is not to make this a cash cow. I just simply, it's like what you're saying. I just
Yeah.
don't want it coming out of my pocket
Right.
because it is expensive. We've got two tech guys. This is a great chance to shout them out. Shout out to Steve doing our audio. Hopefully it sounds amazing. And shout out to Matt doing all the video and switching. Matt's done an incredible job, and He's worked for me on the all digital side, on the dance side, on the rodeo side. Every endeavor that I've gone into,
Yeah.
Matt's been there. And he's a little stubborn. He's a little, thick-skulled sometimes.
He
Sorry,
probably
Matt,
has
but
to be to work with
he
you.
has to,
Right.
yeah, to put up with my shit. He's like, he's got to be. But thank you to our tech team. They've done a really awesome job, and they allow me to come in and only get stressed out for 15 minutes versus 2
Right.
hours, you know?
And this studio
So
is awesome.
Yeah.
it's amazing.
This
Look at
is,
this.
I
Look at
know,
this amazing
I know.
guitar. This is
Next
like a
time
little hidden
I'm
gem.
gonna do the drum entry solo.
The studio is beautiful, and
Yeah.
your questions are extraordinary.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I
So
didn't even write any down. It was just
Well, it seemed like you
that's the
had them.
beauty.
That's yeah, like when you like transitioned to a different, like I knew you were transitioning, but like you have nothing written down. So it felt really
yeah.
just authentic and
Well, the first two, I had the
Yeah.
laptop in front of me,
Okay.
and I had the questions.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've only asked one of my questions that I curated before the show.
For us?
No, I'm saying in the
Oh,
previous
yeah.
2 episodes, I had like 5 questions just in case conversation dried up,
Yeah.
but it never dried up.
Right.
And then that's the thing is like I invite people on that number one I enjoy,
Mm.
right? I enjoy your presence. Like I just
Yeah.
enjoy talking to you, and it comes easy. It comes naturally to talk to people that you enjoy because like we're at networking events and it's just fluid.
Yeah.
That's the magic and the authenticity, because I've been on probably 4 or 5 other podcasts. This is my first live,
Yeah.
but some were, okay, here's some curated questions in
Yeah.
order for you to be
Yeah.
aware of what I'm about to ask you.
Yeah.
So while there was a particular topic in mind for this particular podcast, part of my drive here was just like, well, nobody is going to ask me.
You know what?
Not quite sure.
My previous guest would ask me, "Hey, what are the questions?" I'm like, "Not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you."
It's a
And the reason why
conversation.
Yeah.
it's a conversation, and I don't want a scripted,
Yeah.
curated answer. I want your real,
Yeah.
in real time answer.
Yeah.
I don't care if you stumble over your words. I don't care any of that.
Yeah.
I just want to get a little glimpse into like the real you. And I know that neither of you are putting on a face right now, which is like the
No.
most beautiful part.
Oh,
Like if we met, and all the cameras were away, we could
it'd
sit
be
here.
Same thing.
Well,
Yeah.
it feels that way too, though. It feels very just normal. So that has to do with you because if it felt weird from the person hosting it, it would be a different dynamic. And the other thing,
I appreciate you.
totally,
Thank you.
and your questions, you didn't put us on the spot about anything to make
No.
it. So I didn't have to think of what my real answer is and what my filtered answer is.
Mhm.
I was able to simply answer the question. You too.
Same, yeah.
You too.
Same. Where I was just like, oh,
Yeah, it feels very like we made the time to do this in the outside world.
Well, I hope you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
It was so fun.
And
Yeah.
thank you for coming on and having the conversation.
Thank you.
thank you.
I feel like I need to plug someone here, but we have our sponsors on our outro, but yeah, that's what it is. So we do have guests for the next, I think, 2 episodes. If you want to be a guest on the show, let me know. I really do want to like just kind of leave it open for people who want to come in and kind of speak their piece. If you want to sponsor the show and get in front of people,
It's really
definitely
easy.
let me know. Yes. And we have sponsors right now, but we want to kind of relieve the burden of not having the same sponsors every month. And hopefully, we can have some other businesses come in and pick up the tab. So if you have any questions, in the link in the description below in the YouTube channel, there are links to Carlo's website.
It's coming soon, June.
Oh, I'm sorry, not website, because I couldn't find your website.
It's under construction.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of being built.
But I think either Instagram or Facebook, one of them.
Instagram and Facebook is.
I think
yep,
Facebook
I'm
was linked below.
On
But
LinkedIn. Yeah.
and then Don's website is there. You can contact them directly. And you can obviously find mine down there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. This is episode 3 of VendrCast, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I guess Matt bailed.